Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all doing very well. Norwich City announced the permanent signing of Jacob Wright the other day. It's been very long-winded, that one. It feels like it was made permanent about a month ago, but the actual official announcement only came this week. He arrives from Manchester City for a fee just over £2 million, which for a young English midfielder feels like an absolute steal. We're going to be taking a look at the current squad at the moment, what we need to be doing over this summer in order to prepare Liam Manning for the Championship campaign next season. Before we do so, a big thank you to Match Bingo, who are today's video sponsor. They've got some brilliant offers on site at the moment. If you deposit £5, you get £10 for free. If you deposit £10, you get £20 for free. There's loads of free cards on there. It's football and it's bingo in one thing. It's absolutely brilliant. They've paid out over £200,000 on the app so far. All you have to do is click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Now, I'm on there a lot. I was playing along for the Premier League darts last night. They're covering the Women's Euros, the Club World Cup, so much more. It's Match Bingo. It's brilliant. You can download the app using the link in the description. Okay, well, this summer is going to be busy. We know it's going to be very busy indeed. And when I looked at the squad list and I was writing down, okay, which kind of areas do we need? I have written down new goalkeeper, new defenders, new midfielders, and new forwards. So other than that, I think we're absolutely fine. Let's start in the goalkeeping area. Obviously, Angus Gunn has departed, which feels really strange. So when you go onto the Norwich City website at the moment, you will see three names. They are George Long, Vicente Reyes, and Dan Barden. Now, we know all about George Long. We know all about Vicente Reyes. I don't think Dan Barden is a first-team player as of yet. That may well change. Who knows? We need a new goalkeeper and we need one fast. Norwich City actually, I think, in some games last season didn't give up too many good quality shots. They limited opposition to good quality shots. The problem was, even with Angus in goal, he doesn't escape kind of from this free. The amount of goalkeeping errors or saves that goalkeepers should have made for us that just didn't happen was alarming. And that doesn't help when you're already struggling. George Long isn't a first team or a first choice goalkeeper in this first team. I'm satisfied with him being in and around the squad if needs be. I don't want to see him playing football for Norwich City next season. He has got that new contract. Whether they decide to terminate it early will be on Liam Manning. I'm sure that Manning will come in here with a fresh set of eyes, weigh things up and make careful decisions. Ultimately, I think George Long was given that contract. One, because maybe they thought he was good enough. If so, that was wrong. But I've got no doubt that he's a good professional and a good person to have around the dressing room. Anyway, I'm rambling. George Long isn't good enough. Vicente Reyes at this stage isn't good enough. And nor is Dan Barden. We need a solid first-choice goalkeeper. That has to be at the very top of the priorities for Liam Manning. The defenders paints an interesting picture as well. At the moment on the roster, you'll like that, the Atanasios, Jack Stacey, Shane Duffy, Ben Crescene, Rory McConville, Jose Cordoba, Kellen Fisher, Lucien Mahavo, Brad Hills. That bottom row, very young. Even Crescene and McConville on that top row, also very young. Shane Duffy, I suspect his future might be elsewhere. I think Jack Stacey will be a good person to keep around. Cordoba and Hills, could that be the new centre-back partnership for next season? Brad Hills has had brilliant loan spells everywhere else. It would be a big call, but it might be the right call from Liam Manning to put Brad Hills in this starting 11 at Norwich City. We obviously had real success with Kellen Fisher, and for the limited period that we saw him, Lucien Mahavo as well. It feels risky to go to battle with just those as your wing-backs. I saw that Harry Toffolo had been linked with a move to Norwich City. I think he's become a free agent over the summer. That could be an interesting one. Obviously came through the youth ranks at Norwich City, won the FA Youth Cup with us, has done brilliant things at Nottingham Forest since that stage. So it feels like it needs bolstering. Ben Crescene, I like him. I don't think he's good enough for the Championship week in, week out. I think he's a good person to have around the dressing room and is injury prone. Again, with Jack Stacey, a good utility player. I think him and Fisher can kind of mix it up on the right-hand side. It feels light in the centre-back area. Cordoba was kind of hit or miss. I think there's a good player in there, but it'll be interesting to see how he develops under Manning. Brad Hills is unproven at championship level. I like Rory McConville. Again, feels quite early. So there's a lot of there's a lot of risk in there. And that's okay. You need a bit of risk. You need to give players an opportunity. I think the one good thing with Liam Manning is that he's got a proven track record with developing players. But I think we need at least another centre-back in there, especially if Duffy leaves, which I think he probably will. And who knows, maybe one of those might go as well. So it feels like that defensive area needs bolstering. I'd love to hear your thoughts on who that you've identified in terms of the defenders that you'd like to see. Let's move into the midfielders, and this paints a slightly better picture. There's certainly more in terms of quantity. Boris Sainz, you could argue he's a forward, but he's classed as a midfielder on here. Liam Gibbs, Matej Jurisic, Emi Marcondes, Jacob Wright, Amanko Forson, Ben Slimane, Lewis Dobbin, Kenny McLean, Marcelino Nunes, Oscar Schwartau, and Gabe Forsyth. Thankfully, there's a bit more of experience in there. You look at the likes of Kenny McLean, you look at the likes of Emi Marcondes and co. There are also a lot of unknowns. I mean, Matej Jurisic, he could be a great player. We've seen 45 minutes of him in 6 months, so it'd be bold to kind of pin any hopes on him. You've got a lot of exciting players, the likes of Jacob Wright, Forson and Mankell, we've seen signs from. Who knows what Gabe Forsyth is all about? The injury kind of killed his season. Oscar Schwartau is exciting as well. You've got potential returns from Lewis Dobbin. Anis Ben Slimane looked good until we signed him permanently. So again, there's a lot of excitement in there, but again, it doesn't feel overly proven. Will Kenny McLean be here at the start of the season? I'm not sure. We're looking at this at the end of May, before any real sales have happened. Of course, we've released players whose contracts are up and we decided not to renew them, but there will be moving and shaking. And actually, as I'm scrolling through this squad, I'm thinking, it looks quite thin. It's a demanding season. You've got cup games in there as well. We knew the injuries of last season. It doesn't take much, and suddenly, particularly in that defensive area, and we'll get onto the forward shortly, it doesn't take much for this squad to be completely ripped apart, especially with the likes of Slimane, Forson, Gabe Forsyth, Matej Jurisic, Liam Gibbs. All of those have been injury prone. So to just go, they'll be fine next season would be incredibly reckless. So that needs bolstering. I think in the wide areas, we're not looking too bad. Dobbin, Forson's played out there. I think Boris Sainz will leave. Matej Jurisic, they'll be hoping that he comes good, considering the money he spent. I like the signing of Jacob Wright. Relatively proven in the 15 games that we've seen, but was developing really quickly. Ball-winning midfielder. That's what we need more of. I'm looking at this, I'm going, young, lightweight. We need more ball winners, Ollie Skips of the world, those types that can come in and really mix it in the Championship over a long season. That needs bolstering as well. We'll get onto the specifics shortly. And then the forwards, well, that really does paint an alarming picture. There's two names. It's Josh Sargent and it's Ante Cianats. We can assume that Josh Sargent won't be here next season, which leaves Ante Cianats. Now, there's a lot of pressure on this man's shoulders. I think for the most part, he delivered last season when he needed to. He played a lot of minutes. He was played out on the wing. He was played through the number 9. I think Cianats will be hoping, for his sake, that if Sargent leaves, he'll be given that opportunity through the middle of the pitch. But, my goodness me, I mean, you look at previous successful Championship campaigns. I look back to that 2015 season. Cameron Jerome, Lewis Grabban, Gary Hooper. You need, I think, 3 or 4 proven goal scorers if you really want to do well. We saw this season, didn't we? Josh Sargent gets injured. All your hopes are pinned on at that stage, unproven, very young player that's just come in from the foreign leagues that's never played before. You need someone that can come in and step up. Even, more recently when you had Pookie, but then he had a Jordan Rhodes who could mix it off him. That looks lightweight. We're probably going to lose Sargent. You go back through that squad, you're probably going to lose Sainz. You're probably going to lose Nunes. My goodness, it's lightweight. The only positive of all of this is it does give Manning the ability to come in and really make a stamp on it quickly. There will be money. There will definitely be money through sales. I suspect there'll be money put in through the Atenasio. So that's not going to be too much of an issue. They are recruiting and have been recruiting for a system rather than personnel. So this isn't a Johannes Off-Torup side and it needs to be ripped up again. This is a side catered or built for a certain style of football that Manning will try and come in and replicate. So there are, as Chris Reeve would say, green bananas in here. I'm not seeing a whole lot of proven, good, strong professionals. Yes, maybe in Sargent, but still very young. Yes, maybe in McLean. Other than that, there's not a lot. So I think we've got the youth elements down. We now need experience. We need leadership. We need proven championship know-how. I genuinely believe that. I think that can sometimes be talked up a little bit too much. But looking at this squad, flicking through it post departures of those that weren't renewed contracts, that's how it feels in my gut. I'd love to hear specific names from you. I suspect when Manning comes in, the Scott Twines of the world will be linked with us. That wouldn't be the worst signing in the world, by the way. So we shall see. I've not really given too much help other than, my goodness, there's a lot of work to do this summer, but I think we already knew that. But I think it's good to remind ourselves of what the makeup of this squad looks like. We are quite light at both ends of the pitch. Goalkeeper, forwards, they seem like the absolute priorities. You could cobble together a defensive line and a pretty strong midfield. Front and back of the squad need serious reinforcement. So Liam Manning, Ben Napper, get to work. Thank you very much for watching. I'd love to hear names of who you would realistically like to sign down in the comment section below. As always, a massive thank you to Match Bingo. You can download that in the description or click the scan the QR code on screen now. It's bingo, it's football, it's money, it's brilliant. And I will see you all very soon. We still haven't had the official announcement of Liam Manning, so hopefully that comes very soon. But until then, thanks very much for watching. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.